That's my gimmick. Time for another fragrance review before I go to bed. Hibernate for a while because I definitely need to. Anyway, I'm gonna do Tom Ford's Tobacco Vanille. Definitely one of my favorite fragrances of all time. If I only had to ever have 10 fragrances left in my collection, it would definitely be in it. If I could only have 5 fragrances in my collection, I would say that you're an asshole for making me even think about that, I guess, right? Anyway, so what do I think about tobacco vanilla? Like I said, it's one of my favorite fragrances of all time. What would I describe it as smelling like? Well, it's kind of a hard fragrance for me to review because I just like it that much, so I feel like I'm kind of biased. But to try to give it a sort of interesting vibe, I guess, imagine you have like this warm board piece of like wood cooking board or something, and it's warm, right? And let's say you have some tobacco on it. You were rolling some tobacco on this warm piece of wood, right? And as the board is like warm, right? So it's like slowly lighting that tobacco, right? And the tobacco is kind of like leaving a weird kind of like chocolatey, almost kind of charred marshmallow residue. And it's like sticking on this piece of wood, right? And then as this tobacco is lighting up, and each ember is kind of like tickling your nose, sometimes a little bit of a cherry, and then you breathe out a little bit of cinnamon. Sometimes you breathe in a little bit of cinnamon, sometimes you breathe out the cherry. You get a little bit of those dried fruits and spices, each from each little crackle of ember. I'm such a poet, right? And the smoke is then filling the room with that vanilla, like a vanilla candleish. Can you say candleish? Is that English? This vanilla would have wore like little smoke, right? And you start to like fall asleep because it's just so relaxing and so I think it's very sexy and snuggly actually, right? And then you start to try to reach for this tobacco, but it's just becoming this kind of like chocolatey. It's like sticking to the board of this like kind of just vanilla marshmallow, more chocolatey almost. It's just getting sticky and you're just about to pass out and relax because you feel so good and whatever. It's basically edible now, and you just eat your fingertips, right? Because it just smells so good. And then besides that, that's the most interesting kind of weird way I could describe it, right? Warm piece of wood, you put some tobacco on it, and that warmed it up, and it left like a chocolatey, almost sort of vanilla marshmallow. You get that kind of dried fruits and spices, a little cherry in the air, a little cinnamon in the air. And who knows? Maybe there's like a little vanilla candle in the background as well. I think it smells great, dude. I think it's awesome. Um, I think performance is good. Some people say they get beast mode out of it. I don't get beast mode out of it, but I do think it does perform well. But it's also one of those things like, dude, it's like hundreds of dollars, so I would hope that it performs well, right? So I don't know. Can you really? It's like, good job, dude, but that's what we're paying you for, right? So not beast mode for me, like say Tuscan leather is, or a lot of say Montal stuff, right? But it performs good, and I don't think you'll be disappointed, right? Compliment wise, because a lot of people talk about compliments. I will say Tobacco Vanille for me is one of the few fragrances that if you read fragrance forums, read fragrance reviews, it actually is pretty similar to what you would read. And by that I mean, I feel like there's kind of like a general vibe of when you read about Tobacco Vanille that it's a good smell, but I don't know if it's a cologne kind of smell. And what I mean by that is, a lot of times when I wear this, people they might think I'm like, oh, it just smells like a vanilla candle, or like, oh, it smells like Christmas, or it's one minute someone's saying like I've been with girls, and one minute one girl what I'm with is saying like, oh, it's so manly, and then the next girl I'm with, she's like, oh, it's like girly, right? So it's kind of polarizing in that way that it gets a lot of these like different compliments. It's like I don't think it's harsh enough. I mean, there's a little bit of charredness to this, and when you're in the if other things are in there, like say I wore this yesterday, right, and I was like driving, and it's cold out, right? When you put the heat on in your car, and it's like warming up your car, and you got kind of that car smell. There is a little bit when you have that mix in the air. There is a little bit of a kind of a cigarette kind of smell, but it's not like a bad one, right? But it's not. What I'm trying to say is it's not harsh enough to be a vibe, right? It's nothing like that. But it's not also strange enough to be a novelty almost. It kind of like borders that strange line of not being quite enough one direction to be a vibe and not being one quite direction enough to be novelty because I don't think it smells like a vanilla candle because when I think of a vanilla candle, I think of much more like a fresh kind of vanilla, like a French vanilla or something like that. And this is definitely a more kind of dark baking vanilla kind of thing. And I even think it smells kind of chocolatey. I don't think it smells like a candle personally. It doesn't smell like any kind of candle that vanilla candle that I smell. I don't really think it smells like Christmas either, but I can see the vibe of it. And I've seen some people think that say something like tea for two smells a little bit like tobacco vanille, which I don't necessarily agree with, but maybe a little bit similar. But tea for two, when people say that smells like Christmas, I can see that because there's definitely a much more green firewood element to that than this. But I mean, it certainly is snuggly. I can imagine, just hey, it makes me want to relax and eat myself, whatever, dude. So I think it smells good. But yeah, compliment wise, it does all right. I mean, I got compliments yesterday when I wore it. Also, what did I get? Some compliments with some people said they thought it smelled like a black and mild and it made them want to go smoke, which I can sort of see a little bit. You know what I mean? So I'm fine with that. That's I'll take that compliment. I mean, I don't, I'll take it, dude, right? But yeah, compliment. I've definitely have gotten compliments on it, but not enough that I would say it's a top compliment getter like some other people because I do have some people that just say, I just think kind of smells like a candle. Some people think it's manly. One next one it smells girly. Another one, so a little polarizing, but generally positive. Can I give that as a review for compliments? Anyway, take that for what it's worth, I guess. Um, like I said, one of my favorite fragrances of all time. I definitely would have it if I only had that 10 left. If I only had the five left, like I said, fuck you basically, because I don't think that's gonna happen. But yeah, that's my review. I don't think I have anything else to say about it. Thanks for watching.